Hey guys, welcome to Home of Code. In this video we are going to build a sign up or a login form. This is the final project. It's very simple. We have a container which contains everything in this form, a sign up label, 3 inputs and a button. And if I click here, this section comes up, and if I click on sign up, we're back to our main part. Normally we use JavaScript to add an event listener to a button, or in this case on these labels, to switch between these tabs. But in this project we only used CSS, and at the end of this video I will explain how it works. So without any further, let's jump into code. Before we start, I want to mention that I'm using a live server extension, and I highly recommend you to use it as well to speed up your work. If you're using a VS Code, open it and click on extensions icon. Search here for live server, and usually it comes at first here. As you can see, it's enabled for me. You can install and enable it to use it. Okay, to start our work, I create a file. I call it index.html, and I create a folder for our CSS, and inside I create another file, name it style.css. In the index I type exclamation mark and tab and link our CSS, and for the title I just write my form. Then I right click and open with live server, and I keep the final project open here. Inside our body I add a section or a div with class of container. Maybe I should make the size of code editor bigger so you guys can see it better. There we go. Inside our container, I create an input with an ID of chk or check. Whatever we name it, it doesn't really matter as long as we can access it with CSS. I want the type to be a checkbox and add area hidden to true. When you set area hidden to true, it removes that element and all of its children from the accessibility tree. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's save, and we have a little checkbox. At first it may sound a little weird to have a checkbox at the very beginning, but this is our key that we can switch between our tabs. It will make sense more later. For now, just leave it here. Now we need 2 sections or 2 divs, which the first one has a class of sign up, and inside we want a form. We don't need this action because we are not doing any backend. Now I add a label, and the text inside must be matched with this ID, so make sure to match them. I set area hidden to true as well, and the text is sign up. Now I want 3 inputs: username, email and password. So let's create them. First one, the type is text with the name of txt and placeholder of username. Let's save, and there we go. Because it's a form, let's make it required, and there it is. Next one is for the email, so the type is email with the name of email, and placeholder is also email. Let's use a required attribute here as well. Next one is for the password, so the type is password, name also password, and placeholder of password. We need a button here, which the type is button, and the text is sign up. Now we create another div with a class of login, and inside we want a form. I copy this part and paste it here, and we don't need this input. Now we need to edit the text. I press Ctrl and D to highlight this one as well. I want the text to be login. Let's save, and there it is. This is the whole HTML that we need, which is absolutely ugly without CSS. So let's jump to our CSS file. For the body, I want to zero out the margin and the padding. And for the font, I want to use Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. And of course, you can use any font that you like. Display as flex. Justify content center. Align items also center. I want a minimum height of 100 viewport height. And for the background image, I want a linear gradient, which the direction I want it to bottom, and 3 colors, which the first one is 290 C28, next one 4 D2 B63, and the last one is 3524 3E. Let's save, and good. Now let's add a width and height to our container. So to do that, I set the width to 350 pixels and height 500, and save. For the next, I will hidden the overflow. Now I add a background, which the code color is 401759, and save. Okay, and let's round the corners for the radius of 10 pixels. Okay, and the box shadow 5 pixels, 20 pixels, and 50 pixels, and the color of black. For now, I want to hide this checkbox, so let's do that quick. Remember that it had an ID of CHK, displayed as none. Now I will style the sign up part and then our login. We had a class of sign up. I want to set the width 100% and height also 100%. Now it covers everything, and the login is under the container. For the label, I want it to be displayed as flex. Justify content center. I set the color white. For the font size, 2.3 EM, and margin all the way around 60 pixels. Font weight bold. Now I want to change the cursor. When I hover over the label, I want to change the cursor to be a pointer. I set cursor to a pointer and add the transition 0.5 seconds is in out. Let's save, and there it is. Okay, now let's style our inputs. For the input, I want to display them as flex, justify content center, width of 60%, and for the height 20 pixels, and for the background a light color, which the code is DE. Let's save. Let's add margin because they are too close together. 20 pixels top and bottom, left and right to be auto. And save. That's better. Now I add padding to make them bigger. 10 pixels might be good. Yeah. Let's remove the border and the outline. And set a border radius of 5 pixels. Next one is our button. Let's set the width of 30% and for the height 40 pixels. For the margin, top and bottom 10 pixels and left and right to be auto. And display it as black. Okay, center the text line. Change the color of font to be white. And for the background, 62358C. I make the font size to be a little bigger, 1 EM. And make it bold. And add margin to the top, 20 pixels. And save. Let's remove the outline and the border. Let's save to see it. Now I set the border radius to 5 pixels and change the cursor to a pointer. There it is. When I hover over the button, I want the background color to be changed. So button hover, I set the background color to 6044B8. Save, and there it is. Now let's add a transition because it flashes very fast. So I added here transition 0.2 seconds easy. Let's save, and there it is. So far so good. So now let's take care of our login part. We had a class of login. Let's set the height to be 460 pixels, background almost gray, and for the border radius 60%/10%. At this moment we can't see our login because it's under the container, but don't worry about it because we are going to bring it up in a second. For the border radius, notice that I added a slash here to separate them. And the reason is I wanted to have different radius in x-axis and y-axis. Let me show you an example. Here in the border radius of container. When we simply add a number or an amount to border radius, by default it applies both horizontally and vertically. But if I change the units, for example 10%, and put in a slash and 30% here and save, now we can see that we have different radius. For the horizontal we added 10% and for the vertical we have 30%, and that's the difference, and I hope that's not too confusing. Now we change it back to 10 pixels. Now it's time to bring up our login part. So to do that we need a transform, translate in the y-axis, and for the amount -180 pixels, and save. Now we have our login part. Now I also add a transition, 0.8 seconds, ease in out, and save. Now it's a little smooth. I want to change the text of this label because it's unreadable. Class of login, and I want to target the label. Let's change the color to 573B8A. Save, and there it is. Now I make this text smaller because for now our main part is this section. I want the login to be smaller. So transform, scale 0.6 and save. And there it is. Now it's time to do a little trick in order to switch between these two tabs. Because for now, if I click here, nothing happens. So to do that, let me just grab our checkbox with the ID of CHK and put it at the bottom. When it is checked, I want all the siblings and I want to target the login. Transform, translate in the y-axis -500 pixels. And if I save, if I click on login, the whole section comes up in the y-axis with this amount that we added here. And if I click on sign up, we can back to our main part. When we switch to login section, I want this label to be bigger and the sign up to be smaller. So to do that, I copy this line and paste it here. This time I want to target the label, transform, scale 1, and save to see the change. Yeah, now it's bigger. Now I want to make this text to be smaller. So I paste it one more time, but this time I want to target the sign up label. Transform, scale 0.6 and save. Now it's smaller. As I said at the beginning, I want to explain how it works, how we can switch between these two tabs without any JavaScript or any even listener. So let me display our checkbox again so I can explain it better and you guys can understand it much better as well. Believe it or not, the whole switch thing is working with this checkbox. When this checkbox is checked, the whole login part comes up, and when it is unchecked, we back to our sign up. Apparently, we are clicking on the labels, but in fact, we are clicking on the checkbox, and that's the key. Now I hide it back. And that's it. I will put a link of code in the description in case if you need it. I apologize if the video is a little long because I tried to cover everything. And if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like and make sure to subscribe for new videos. Thank you for watching.